So Galaxy M32 released just yesterday as at the time of recording this video. Interesting. Look, the device is interesting. It comes with interesting specs, okay, but now you'd have to see how good it is when you compare it to its predecessor, right? That's basically how to get to know how good a successor is. So comparing this device to its predecessor, the Galaxy M31, now that is where you start to see if we're actually moving forward. Are we going forward, or we're trying to go back in time? And there's a couple of reasons why I think the M32 is not worth it. You'd pretty much be stick to your M31 or move to a different model other than the M32. So I think the first thing you notice with these two devices is the price tag. After the time of the release, the M31 would be slightly more expensive than the M32, and I think it makes sense looking at how much was taken out of the M32, so hence the cheaper price tag. Now, talking about cheap, how is the idea of sending money through networks and countries sound like for cheaper than you've already been sending, right? That's very possible. Now download the Wire app from the App Store and Play Store and start sending. I mean, I use it for all my transactions and it really helps. Way cheaper, no charges at all, for free. Yes, like I said, no charges at all. Start sending, get the app in the Play Store and the App Store. So starting with the display, the refresh rate and the protection on the display has been upped on this year's version, the M32. Last year had Corning Gorilla Glass 3. This year we have Gorilla Glass 5 protection with an upgrade in the refresh rate, which is a 90 Hz refresh rate, so you get a smoother experience on the display right there. The camera, RAM and processor is going to help you understand why the price is cheaper this year. So starting with the RAM, last year's version had maxed out at 8 gigs of RAM coupled with 128 gigs of storage. This year we have, yes, 128 gigs of storage, but it's now coupled with 6 gigs of RAM. I don't know for whatever reason you do that, but you know, now you have the M31 being able to handle more apps and run more apps at a time compared to the M32, which is this year's release, which is supposed to be the other way around, but now it's the other way around. So going on to the processor, last year's M31 model had Samsung's very own processor, Exynos 9611, 10 nanometer process. Let's take note of that. This year the M32 has a MTK processor, the Helio G80 12 nanometer build. So talking about performance, the performance is quite similar, G80, Exynos 9611, but you're getting more efficiency in battery consumption with the Exynos 9611 10 nanometer process than as compared to the Helio G80 12 nanometer on the M32. Also, the clock speed, the Exynos 9611 is going to be faster. It clocks at 2.3 gigahertz compared to the MTK's Helio G80 processor, which clocks at 2 gigahertz, just 2 gigahertz. So that's 50% more speed on M31, so you'll be getting a lot more smoother experience on that one than this year's M32. Now you can't make a comparison video without talking about the camera. There's always going to be a difference in camera between devices. It doesn't matter if they're of the same model lineup or a different model or different brands, there's always going to be difference in camera, and it's the same thing with the M31 and the M32. So both devices have a 64 megapixel main camera or wide lens and an 8 megapixel ultra wide lens. The differences lie in the depth and macro lenses. The M32 has a 2 megapixel depth and a 2 megapixel macro. The M31 on the other hand has a 5 megapixel macro and a 5 megapixel depth lens. So if you don't understand what any of that means, for example, the 5 megapixel macro is going to get you more detail. Like it's a macro lens. I mean, what you want to see is more detail, right? Than compared to the M32 this year, which has just 2 megapixels, right? So you're going to get more detail. It's a very significant up here from the 5 megapixel to the 2 megapixel. Big downgrade, man, big downgrade. And not only that, the M31 shot 4K at 30 frames per second. This year's doesn't shoot 4K, but it shoots 1080p at 30 frames per second. A downgrade. Also another downgrade is in the selfie camera. Last year had a 32 megapixel front end camera. This year has a 20 megapixel front camera, which also shoots 4K last year, but this year it shoots just 1080p at 30 frames per second. I mean, it's just like I could keep going on, man. The downgrades just keep coming in at like super speed. But finally, the battery, and I can definitely say there is an upgrade here. M30 series are known for bigger batteries, right? So 6,000 milliamp hour battery last year, 6,000 on this year as well, but last year had a 15 watt fast charge. This year has 25 watt fast charge, and I think that's like the standard these days. So yeah, 25 watt fast charge coupled with 6,000 milliamp hour battery, so you get a lot more battery with faster charge. Charge up that fill up that juice as soon as possible, right? So at this juncture, I guess you can definitely know which to get, M31, M32. There is a video on the M32 compared to the Infinix Note 10 Pro. There'll be a card up here if it has been uploaded as at the time of this video. If it has not, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified when that video is up and ready. I guess at this point you're seeing why the price this year is cheaper, right? So yes, interesting device, like I said, the M32, but there's a lot of downgrades coming up with it, and a lot of significant downgrades. I mean, not just any downgrade at all, but significant downgrades, downgrade in RAM, downgrade in camera and processor as well. But if you're not using an M30 series or using a very old version or older model of Samsung or whatever model, and you want to upgrade, you could definitely go for the M32. But if you're using the M31 and want to upgrade to the M32, I think you should give it a think twice, think thrice, think 4 times, 5 times, quadruple, or whatever it is. Yo, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out, stay safe, and keep wearing a mask.